I'm Wendy Tamis Robbins. I'm a seeker, I'm a survivor, and I'm a superhero. And I say superhero because that was always my dream. That's why I ultimately became a lawyer, but it has sort of manifested in a very different way. I was 6 years old when I first had a panic attack. At that young age, you just have no vocabulary to really talk about anxious, intrusive thoughts. I doubled down on the overachieving, the perfectionism. So they were destructive coping mechanisms, which exacerbated the anxiety, the panic attacks. I realized that box that I had created since the age of 6, since that first panic attack, that had really been a prison that was getting smaller and smaller. It had just gotten to that unbearable point where it was more important for me to find my freedom, regardless of whatever that would take, how difficult that might be. I thought I had arrived and I was outside of my box and I was finally free. And then I was diagnosed with colon cancer.
My name is Holly Barron. I'm a senior clinical social worker in the Gastrointestinal Cancer Center here at Dana-Farber. So Wendy came into her cancer experience already having dealt with anxiety throughout her entire life. What we did was say, okay, what are some things that you've done in the past? How can we bring those into your cancer experience now?
My counselor was just incredibly supportive. She understood and wanted to hear everything that I felt. And so just to have that safe space where I could just talk about everything that was going on inside of me was extremely supportive.
Things Wendy did that were helpful for her were things like focusing on mindfulness, meditation, yoga, exercise, deep breathing. There are all these things that we were able to bring into the sessions here and talk through how they can help her now. And really importantly, being able to make adjustments to those things and setting realistic expectations.
One of the most difficult parts that I talked to Holly about was I was supposed to have 6 treatments. And the first week, I was physically so sick that I would just cry and sleep. And then as I would start to feel better, you're getting closer and closer to the next treatment. So mentally you're struggling, your body's feeling better, but your mind is starting to really put the brakes on.
So Wendy had a really beautiful way of creating these visual images and helping that to guide her process. So one thing we had talked about was this river.
I would imagine this raging river.
And these stones in this river.
6 rocks where I could take a break and rest in between my treatment sessions.
Getting to the stone was being able to breathe, to recover from chemo, and then she was back in the water again.
Each time we met, we would just talk about resting on that rock and what tools I was going to use to sort of dive back in. So having a visualization like that helped. And then the one that was really the biggest for me was around the willow tree. We had this willow tree that was dying outside of our house, and we had the tree doctors come and we asked them to just take it down. And they said, if you let us cut off all of the things that are dying and aren't serving it anymore, it will come back to life. And so that, I feel goosebumps just saying it again, that to me really rang true about what was happening inside of my body. I would tree bathe underneath the tree, and I started to even think about my tumor holding all of the anxiety that I had held inside for so long, like it was this physical manifestation of it, and that after my treatments were over, that my body would rebuild and just be better than it had been before. And that tree just started to flourish, and it's gorgeous now. It got there before I did. Anxiety, loneliness, depression, they're there to inform and guide us. Like they're loyal protectors in a way. They're telling you that you need something that you don't have enough of. When you're anxious, What is that telling you? What are you afraid of? What do you need more of? Maybe silence or stillness, or a team like Dana-Farber who's willing to sit in that and hold space for you and just listen to you.
Living with cancer and going through cancer treatment is an ongoing adjustment process. Social work is here and available at any point in that process. We're here and we're happy to be a part of your team.
So I was born with a severe phobia of the water, but it was only water coming from the top, not necessarily if I was just sitting in the tub. It was only when they started like the shower or something like that. I also don't like to just be in the water with my lungs. I feel the pressure and it feels like anxiety, like how my chest would tighten up, and it's just too reminiscent, so I just don't really go in the water. But until recently. So one of the things that I kept saying, I will never do that a lot of people in my town do, is go into the ocean. So if there's no real safety issue, I know that's exactly what I need to do next. So I've gone in 4 times so far in the past week. Even if it's just up to my ankles, just getting out there on the beach on a cold day is like, yeah, I feel like there's nothing I can't do that day. I think my superpowers are not what I had originally expected them to be. Now I understand that it is actually my anxiety, my depressions, my cancer journey. Those are really my superpowers, having gone through those experiences.